Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. To mix things up a bit this week, we're going to have a look through a re-release Sand Scorcher. That means that we now have 4 models on the go, but you know, there's always room for another. The Sand Scorcher came out in 1979 using the SRB Special Racing Buggy platform. That means there's lots of cast metal and quite a few quirks that you just don't see on modern kits. It's designed for the old Tamiya hump pack battery, so your typical 6L 9mm stick pack won't fit, and most LiPos designed for 1/10 cars won't fit either. It's not the end of the world though, as we'll be able to make a nice little mount for a smaller aircraft pack. Modern batteries mean a small pack will be more than up to the job. Being the modern re-release, the kit comes with an ESC, which is going to be more than good enough to get the buggy going. If we lift the lid, we're greeted with something missing from most new kits, the blister packs. I know once you've built the kit they don't really mean much, but they do add some occasion to your first viewing. I do wish there was a bit more thought in the presentation these days rather than just a bunch of bags stuffed in a box. In one of the packs we have the tyres, the metal gear casings and the UJs. Everything looks tip-top, although I do wonder what the tooling looked like to make that gear case. In the other blister pack we have the suspension components. Again, they're all cast with a few of them turned. There's 2 spur gears, as you can choose between 2 gear ratios, as well as the ever-present silver can motor. Most importantly though, there's a full set of armoured bearings. Not a single bushing is used in the kit. For a Tamiya, that's really quite remarkable. It's probably worth noting that cast parts do have a bit of a reputation for being brittle, and it's true that, shall we say, cheaper brands' parts often are, but Tamiya cast parts are pretty much always very robust. There's quite a lot of stuff in the box, so we're going to need a bit more space. Right, next out we have the body, a slightly warped looking Beetle with bigger arches, an open engine bay and large rear window. It's definitely a Tamiya classic. Next we have the clear parts with the windows and light lenses. Unfortunately it's not LED ready, or filament bulb ready for that matter, so we're going to need to modify things a bit so we can add some LEDs. Another bit of classic Tamiya, the splash proof radio box. Not completely waterproof, but for splashing through puddles and sand it's going to keep everything pretty much bone dry. This bit is the cage that goes behind the back to protect the gearbox. The wheels of doom and saw fingers. Now these are the same ones that we struggled with on the Frog. I vowed never to build another set, but here we are. At least they're going to look nice. This tree has the rest of the body bits, the front, exhaust, roof and the driver. We get a few chrome parts with the headlight buckets, mirrors and oddly enough what looks like indicators. Tamiya provide this foam block so you can use their small lithium battery pack, but it's not really a common size that most model shops stock, so we're going to be doing something custom instead. The rest of the parts are in this rather nice box. Again, good presentation that makes the unboxing feel a bit more like an event than just all the loose stuff being put in the box. In the first bag we have the pinions and some other small parts. Remember, there's 2 gear ratios to choose from. And also the pinions look like steel ones rather than the soft aluminium ones Tamiya usually provide. Next is the bumper, a proper noob friendly one. It's a shame you don't get the nice cage that's on the box, but there are some nice aftermarket ones you might have to get. While the stock bumper is practical, it is really quite ugly. The fiberglass chassis plate and aluminium plate. Now this is the main culprit behind the famously flexible chassis. If you were serious about performance, you'd really want to replace it or at least stiffen it up. But for cruising around, it's going to do the job just fine. Here we have the torsion bars for the rear suspension, the steering linkage and the springs for the front suspension, servo saver and the radio box lid. As usual, we have a few screws bags, clearly marked so you can find the bits you want. These are the dampers. Now they're only single seal, so I'm expecting them to start leaking before long. But other than that, they do look rather nice. We might replace them with some modern coilovers though, to beef up the looks if nothing else. Here we have some of the internal gears and the tubes that go across the front suspension. From what I understand, unlike the Frog gearbox, these SRB gearboxes are pretty robust, but a bit heavy. This one has the rubber damper mounts, the motor wire grommet and switch cover. All very nice parts and a bit out of the ordinary compared to modern kits. There's also a bit of servo tape for good measure. Here's the servo saver and the ball end cups for the steering. They feel like they're nylon rather than ABS, which is a good choice, so they should last for a very long time. You get a fairly typical tools bag with some damper oil, ceramic grease and thread lock gel. All good stuff and always useful. You get an aluminium roll hoop. Now it supports the top of the dampers, the rear cage and the body clips to the top, so it needs to be a bit tougher than a plastic part. Now this is a funky part. It mounts the servo saver at the bottom and the front body mounts at the top. It looks like it's been turned down from aluminium rod. Very nice. This would be the antenna, and on some of the old Tamiyas they wanted you to connect up the antenna from your 27 MHz radio. I do wonder how well that worked though. These days of course it's just decorative, best used with a flag on the top. Oddly, they give you a plastic antenna tube too, even though I don't think there's anywhere to mount it. Recent versions of the kit come with a Tamiya TBLE04S, a rather nice little update to the TBLE02S, the main useful difference being you can set it up with a LiPo safe cutoff. I'll also mention though, like so many businesses at the moment, Tamiya are having supply issues, so you might end up with something a bit different. I believe in some markets they're supplying Hobbywing ESCs. Next out is the decal sheet, all high quality as you'd expect. Now you also get some corrections to the manual, not something you see too often in a Tamiya kit. Also something to keep in mind, the 4 O-rings to mount the wing mirrors are in the decal bag, not in with the main set of bits. Easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Then we have the usual pages of small print that no one reads. And lastly we have the manual, which of course is excellent quality and super clear. Lots of very nice diagrams to get you through the build. So that's what you get in the box, but as usual there's a few other bits you need to make it go. First of course is the radio. Pretty much any basic 2-channel set is all you really need, a transmitter and receiver. You'll need a servo, this one being the top seller on Model Sport at the time of recording. It's not terribly important what the specs are, other than it being the standard size and preferably metal geared. You don't need crazy torque or speed, and the stock steering is wobbly enough that you don't really need super precision either. For the battery, well, I haven't quite worked that bit out yet, but your standard 6-cell pack definitely isn't going to fit. You can get modern versions of the old Tamiya hump packs, but I think a smaller LiPo is the way to go these days. We'll have to wait until the build is well along to measure up and see what's going to fit. Looking in the manual, Tamiya use a small 2-cell pack. They almost look like a pair of 18650 lithium-ion cells, but still, it's not all that common, so I'd rather use something that'll be useful for other models too, and of course be easily available from local shops. Something along the lines of a 2200 mAh 2S LiPo. Right, well, there we go then, another kit started. It should be a fairly quick build to get the chassis rolling, but with lots of funky bits in the suspension. Painting up the body will take a bit longer, working out the mods for the lights is going to take a bit of thinking. It should make for a good project. For now then, that's going to be it. As always, thanks for watching, like if you like, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if there's something on your mind. Bye guys!